Hello, Boston sports fans. I welcome you all back down into the den. And, man, it has been a big day for sports. And there's one piece of news. It's been going all around, and you know what happened. And BB is getting called up. We're talking about Brandon Bussi getting called up to the Bruins today. Oh yeah, I heard there was also a coach getting fired or parting ways amicably with a team around here. Might have heard something about it. But let's get back to Brandon Bussi. So, with Linus Ullmark being injured with an undisclosed lower body injury, the Bruins find themselves with only one and play up a goalie right now. So what do they do? Well, they're not going to just set. With the timetable for, with the diagnosis for Ullmark's injury not even being known, we can't even really understand a timetable for when he's going to be coming back, and we can't just have, Swayman turn on God mode just like that and rattle off 14 wins in a row. Oh yeah, he's also playing every single one of those games. We can't have that. That's not really something that's feasible. So what do we do? We make a call down to Providence, and we bring up our top goalie prospect right now, Brandon Bussi. So, who is Brandon Bussi? So, Brandon Bussi was, for the most part, a relatively unknown quantity. He had played for 3 years at Western Michigan University to moderate success before being given a contract offer with the Providence Bruins. Now at Western Michigan, he had one of those seasons, 2020-2021, he had only played for 4 games. He was injured for a decent part of that. But the best look that anybody got from him was his junior year. After getting signed by the Bruins in 2022, he decided to forego his senior year to play with the Baby Bees. But in his last season at Western Michigan, he put up pretty respectable number. In the 39 games he was between the pipes, he went 26, 12, and 1. That's a pretty good record, all things considered. 4 shutouts. It's 2.55 goals against average, 912 save percentage. That's like I said, all things considered, that's a pretty decent. That's a pretty decent showing. Like if an NHL goalie walked up to you with those kind of stats, you would think, he's a pretty good backup. I don't know if starter quality, but still a pretty good backup. He plays a little bit in the AHL in 2021-2022. Only playing like 5 games. So he goes 3-2 in those games. But he starts to get. But last year, his true rookie season in 2022-2023, fantastic year from him. Really, really good year from him. Second in the entire AHL in save percentage as a rookie. The only player that had a better save percentage was Dustin Wolf, who was in Calgary's who was with the Calgary AHL team. But in his rookie season, Brandon Bussi, 32 games played, comes out of it with a 2.40 goals against average. That's all right. A 22-5-4 record. That's pretty good. That is. I don't want to keep saying the same thing over again, but yeah, that is really good for a rookie. With a .924 save percentage. a really really solid showing from someone in their first season in the AHL, and and honestly, going into this season, he was the main reason why there was a big question as to whether or not we were going to keep Ullmark, because we have a great goalie prospect right here. Why do we need to spend $5 million on another goalie? And that's because Linus Ullmark is a great goalie, and him already having the NHL experience is kind of freaking helps. Speaking of which, let's talk about Linus Ullmark. Ullmark, as it stands right now, alongside Matt Patra, who also got injured in the game against Arizona, is considered day to day. So whether or not Bussi actually makes an appearance is ultimately contingent on how serious this injury is to Ullmark. Him being listed as day to day is a good thing. It makes me think he just pulled something, and he felt it really really bad. But Ullmark this season, coming off of quite possibly the best season from a goalie since Carey Price's heart-winning performance back in like 2013, 2014. I forget when he won the Hart. It was sometime in the mid 2010s. But as it stands this season, in 21 games he had 13 wins, 5 losses. Is pretty decent start. And two overtime losses. He had a 2.75 goals against average with a .916 save percentage. He's definitely taking a step back from last year, but at the same time, you can't exactly expect someone to keep up a record-setting Vezina winning pace every single year. For what it's worth, this season has been pretty good for Ullmark. We knew that this team was not going to be as good as it was last season. Case in point, we've already lost 16 games this season, and by season's end of last year, we had only lost 17. I knew that we were not going to be another 65 win team, but Ullmark this season, he's been fine. He's been fine. A lot of the frustration this year is on the defense. Matt Grzelcyk, I've already gone into him way too many times. I don't look. I know the Bruins play the Golden Knights later tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna be talking about Matt Grzelcyk again, unless he does something absolutely egregious again. But that's contingent on his play. That I will continue to talk about Matt Grzelcyk so long as he gives me reasons to talk about Matt Grzelcyk. But we're not talking about defense right now. We're talking about goaltending. And right now, I don't necessarily see this as a terrible thing. Yes, it's really bad that one of our goalies is injured, especially when this season we can't get enough injuries. We had Grzelcyk and McAvoy out in the within the first few weeks. Grzelcyk to injury, McAvoy to a suspension that probably shouldn't have been in a suspension. And I will still say that Oliver Ekman-Larsson played the next game and played half an hour in that game. And if you can do that, I don't necessarily think that to quote Jack Edwards, you're gonna stop the play for a guy who's still conscious. But in any case, I don't necessarily see this as a terrible thing, if for no other reason than it gives us a look at what Bussi has. Remember in 2020, 2021, when we had Rask get injured and then Halak get injured, and so we had for a decent amount of time a goalie rotation of Dan Vladar and Jeremy Swayman. And both of them were unproven commodities. that proved themselves at the NHL level. It's not always the worst thing when a goalie gets injured. Yes, when it is your bell cow, it can be really, really bad. And that's partially what makes this a little bit more frustrating for me, is that it's our $5 million goalie getting injured. But again, I want this team to succeed, and I want this team to succeed, and I want this team to also have long-term ambitions. And if we have no game plan past Ullmark or Swayman, then what the hell? Well, so tonight it's probably gonna be Swayman getting the start because Swayman's been starting every other game. Fine, that's fine. But and honestly, the next game I could probably also see Swayman. I could probably see Swayman pulling him back to back game in there. But if Ullmark is not back by the third game, put in Bussi. Put him in. Let's see what he can do. Let's see if the new kid can. Let's see if the new kid on the block has some decent toys to play around with. But I think that's gonna be it. I know I kind of clickbaited you all with a little bit of a teaser about Belichick. If you want my honest opinion about Belichick, it's going to be really, really weird to watch this team without a coach that I've known here for the entire time that he's been here. That is going to be really, really weird. If it's Mike Vrabel, fine. If it's Josh McDaniels, burn this town to the ground. If Gerard Mayo ends up getting elevated because he's been in our coaching staff, because he's been in the Patriots coaching staff for a while, I would absolutely love to see Mayo going up to head coach. But ultimately, I think this season for the Patriots, it wasn't entirely on Belichick. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't entirely on Belichick, the head coach. I think you could keep Belichick the head coach, but you gotta get an actual general manager in here. That was the frustrating thing about the Texans getting Nick Caserio for their general manager position, is Caserio was the main reason why we were actually hitting on some of our draft picks, why we were hitting on some of our free agent signings, why we were hitting on our trades. Nick Caserio was the glue that was holding the Patriots roster management together most of the time. Belichick, a defensive mastermind, and I love everything that he did for us, and I still think that he should be the head coach of the New England Patriots. You got to get rid of. You also got to get rid of Bill O'Brien. You got to get rid of Bill. You got to get rid of Bob. He's not. He has shown you what he can do, and what he can do is not good. Is not good. But that was ultimately the frustrating thing with Belichick's entire thing, with Belichick's entire tenure. Ultimately, he was so good that he didn't really need to try with any of his underlings. He could hire yes men as defensive coordinators and lapdogs as offensive coordinators, and he could still crank out a winning record with them. He made the playoffs with Mac Jones under center. Mac freaking Jones. How hard that just shows how good of a coach Bill Belichick is on its own. Now ultimately the I think actually 8 Super Bowl rings he has, because he did have the two with the Giants. The 8 Super Bowl rings that Belichick has, nothing can take that away. Nothing can take away his nothing can take away everything that he's done for this organization. But all I can say is that this offense needed a freaking overhaul if it wants to actually go anywhere. The defense is fine. The only problem with it is that this season was that both Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez got hurt. Everything else, and they were sort of the backbone of our pass rush and our secondary. And without them, it kind of fell apart. Our offense never really had it to begin with. We gotta reshape that. But that is it for today. Thank you all so much for watching my analysis of what Brandon Bussi coming up to the Bigs means for the Bruins, and my short analysis of what Bill Belichick leading the Patriots means for their future. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and take care.